A tense hush filled the courtroom as everyone waited. Then she walked in, a black woman in a flawless suit, carrying herself with quiet strength. She looked like she belonged there, because she did. But a police officer, blinded by his own prejudice, didn't see that. Ignoring her FBI badge, he grabbed her ID with a sneer and accused her of faking it. Before anyone could react, he tried to handcuff her in front of the stunned crowd. What he didn't realize was that in just 7 minutes, the truth she carried would tear his world apart. This is the story of Aaliyah Monroe, a federal agent who turned public humiliation into an unforgettable victory. Get ready. What happens next will leave you breathless. It was a Thursday morning in a St. Louis courtroom. The air felt heavy, as if the marble walls held years of hidden injustice. Aaliyah Monroe, 37, stepped into courtroom 4B with steady determination. Her perfectly cut black suit spoke of quiet authority. In her brown leather briefcase lay a USB drive, evidence powerful enough to shake the system, videos, testimonies, and recordings exposing deep police corruption. She wasn't just there to testify. She was a spark that could bring buried truths to light. Aaliyah had grown up in Birmingham, Alabama, where strength was taught at kitchen tables and on neighborhood sidewalks, not in classrooms. Her mother worked double shifts at a hospital, and her father vanished before she turned 12. From a young age, she learned to walk tall even when suspicious eyes followed her. By 15, she knew the rules. Stay quiet, stay alert, keep your ID visible. That same grit carried her into the FBI. Not through connections, but by sheer determination in a world that kept doubting her. But that Thursday morning, as she neared the courthouse security checkpoint, Officer Brent Halverson stopped her. Middle-aged, white, with 20 years on the force. He looked at her with contempt. Though she clearly showed her FBI badge, he dismissed it. "That's fake," Halverson snarled, blocking her way. Without checking anything, he twisted her arm behind her back, slapped the cuffs on, and the sharp click echoed through the courtroom. The judge, lawyers, and reporters froze. No one stepped in. Aaliyah, her cheek pressed against a wooden rail, felt a fierce anger burn hotter than fear. She wasn't just any agent. She was a lead investigator in a case that exposed a ring of corrupt officers, including Halverson himself. In that briefcase now lying on the floor were the very files and recordings that could ruin him. Evidence of him forging reports, scaring witnesses, and targeting minorities. But he had no idea. "Where'd you get this badge?" "Steal it," Halverson mocked, holding her ID like it was a joke. A few officers chuckled, but the crowd stayed silent. The air felt ready to snap. Kneeling, Aaliyah whispered, "You just made the biggest mistake of your life." Halverson smirked, tightening the cuffs. Thinking he'd shut her up, he couldn't have been more wrong. In a holding room, Aaliyah sat quietly, red marks from the cuffs still fresh on her wrists. A young officer shyly offered her water and mumbled an apology. She didn't answer. She didn't need pity. She needed focus. What happened wasn't just a mistake. It showed how deeply broken the system still was. Even with a badge and truth on her side, she could be reduced to a stereotype in seconds. Outside, the courthouse buzzed. Reporters captured video clips. Photos spread online. The judge had paused the hearing, but everyone knew why. The woman set to testify had just been humiliated by the very man she came to expose. Yet Aaliyah returned to the courtroom. Her testimony still awaited. The mood had shifted. All eyes followed her. Phones filmed quietly. Even the court reporter hesitated before typing the next words. When Aaliyah took the stand, her voice sliced through the heavy silence. "For the past 7 months, I've led an undercover investigation into coordinated misconduct within the St. Louis Police Department," she began. She held up a small USB drive and turned toward the projector screen. On it, she played evidence, recordings, falsified reports, and edited body camera footage that showed a clear pattern of racial profiling and broken procedures. The room fell still. Aaliyah played one recording. Halverson's unmistakable voice ordering another officer to fake charges against a young black man who'd been arrested for no reason. In the audience, the young man's mother quietly wept. Aaliyah went on, her tone unwavering. "I have 12 more recordings, all tied to arrests of black citizens under 30. All cases dismissed for lack of evidence. The pattern is undeniable. Sweat gathered on Halverson's forehead as he whispered urgently to his lawyer. His smugness faded with every word she spoke. When the prosecutor asked if she could name the officer who had threatened her 3 weeks earlier, Aaliyah answered without pause. Officer Brent Halverson. The judge, looking tense, clarified. The same officer involved in this morning's incident? Yes, Your Honor, she confirmed. That's why I asked that the rest of my testimony be protected under federal privilege. I believe my safety is at risk. The judge agreed, and in that moment, the mood shifted. Halverson was no longer a man in authority. He was now just a name on a file, a voice on a tape, a badge turned into a weapon. The next day, Aaliyah returned wearing the same suit, carrying the same briefcase. But something in her was different. Reporters crowded the courthouse steps. Cameras flashed everywhere. The whole city was watching now. Halverson entered looking a mess, chewing gum nervously, his earlier confidence gone. Aaliyah, meanwhile, was ready to finish what she started. The judge announced a federal motion to reveal new files. Aaliyah stepped forward. This morning, I filed an emergency motion authorized by my FBI supervisor. It includes newly declassified evidence and a request for immediate disciplinary action against Officer Brent Halverson. She held up a second USB drive marked with red tape. It contained 26 minutes of audio from a confidential informant who had worked under Halverson's orders. On the tape, Halverson gave instructions to fake reports, pressured junior officers, and silent citizens. Halverson exploded. This is a lie. It's a setup. But Aaliyah stayed calm. Would you like to explain what you meant when you said, I'm untouchable. I have the whole system in my pocket? That's your voice, isn't it, officer? The judge let her keep going. Aaliyah played a video. Halverson in a dark parking lot, handing over a file full of altered statements. His face on the screen said more than words ever could. Your Honor, she declared, we request the immediate detention of Officer Brent Halverson for obstruction of justice and conspiracy to interfere with federal investigation. The judge, expression grave, ordered, Sheriff, arrest Officer Halverson. Halverson stammered, You believe her? Not me? But no one stood up for him. The sound of the cuffs locking around his wrists echoed through the room. The final punctuation. Aaliyah stepped close enough for him to hear and whispered, You didn't think I'd have the last word, did you? But it didn't stop there. Together with her lawyer Natalie and Officer Daniel Ruiz, who had come forward out of guilt, Aaliyah helped uncover a corruption ring that stretched beyond St. Louis. They reopened a 5-year-old case about a young officer who tried to speak out and was found dead, officially ruled a suicide. But evidence suggested murder. That case triggered a bigger investigation. With Aaliyah's federal team leading the way, they uncovered a nationwide pattern of abuse. Ruiz testified publicly, sparking reforms and stronger protections for whistleblowers. Natalie fought fiercely in court, never backing down. Halverson was found guilty on several charges. His fall showed everyone that nobody is above the law. Aaliyah was promoted to a senior role in the FBI, where she rewrote policy and trained a new generation of agents. But she never forgot what it cost. Sleepless nights, threats, and the constant looks from people who doubted her. One afternoon back home in Birmingham, sitting quietly in her mother's house, Aaliyah held an old photo of her father. Her mother, tears brimming, whispered, He'd be proud of you. Aaliyah didn't reply. But for the first time in years, she took a slow, deep breath, letting some of the weight lift, if only for a moment. This isn't just Aaliyah's story. It's a question for all of us. What would you do if the system tried to silence you? Would you speak up, even if it was uncomfortable? Would you listen when someone finds the courage to tell the truth? Justice doesn't come with applause or trophies. It comes with scars, long nights, and the stubborn choice to keep doing what's right. Aaliyah showed us that one voice really can change everything. Now it's your turn. Share in the comments what you would have done in her place. What does her story mean to you? And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that turn pain into purpose.